Hi everybody, it's Ernie Sabella, the voice of Pumbaa from The Lion King. And I'm telling you to like this video and subscribe to Carney's YouTube channel.
Hey guys, it's Carney. How's it going? Fellas, good to see you. Ladies. L-A-D-I-E-S, ladies. So good to see you. I know this might sound crazy, but if you're a recent college grad that can't get a job, or you're just a 20-something that wants a job that maybe has a few more benefits than what you currently have, you really might do well to look into education for your next job. I have worked a lot of jobs in my life. I've worked for small businesses, big corporations. I've worked in the office. I've worked remotely. I've worked in retail, and now I work in education. After working all of these jobs, I really think more people should look into education as a job, not as a career. Emphasis on not as a career. Now you might be thinking like,
well, don't I have to go to school and get a credential for that or something?
Yes, if you want to be a teacher, but that's not what I'm talking about. There are so many jobs at schools with relatively low barrier to entry. You could work in the office, you could work, in the after school lunch monitor recess program, or you could be a paraeducator like I am now. I won't pretend that working at a school isn't a shitty job sometimes. It is. But there are some aspects to it that I think make it a better shitty job than working at a Coffee Bean or a Target or a Trader Joe's or something. If you'll give me a minute, let me list the benefits of working at a school over working in retail. And I think you might be surprised about how much better of an option this sounds by the time I get to the end of it. Number one, the logistics. The schedule at a school is so amazing. I didn't know how amazing it was to not work nights and weekends until I didn't have to work them anymore. And for all my night owls out there, I never wanted to have a job where I woke up early. But now that I've gotten myself into a position where I have to, I love it. I used to miss so many things because my friends had these 9-to-5 schedules and I was always working 3 to 9 when I was teaching music or working a 2 to 10 shift or something like that. And I don't miss those things anymore. I make it to every birthday now. They also pretty much always offer healthcare working at schools. I haven't worked in any private schools, so I'm not sure if those are different, but my assumption is most of those probably do as well. Plus, you literally get breaks. I get 3-day weekends and weeks or 2 weeks or whatever off more than anybody I know. And admittedly, I don't get paid for those days. But depending on where you work, you might make enough in your 10-month contract to sustain yourself for the 12 months of living expenses. I'm in that situation right now. And disclaimer here, obviously I don't want to be misleading. I'm not pretending that the money in education is secretly really great, but it is equal to or higher pay than the retail job you're busting your ass at right now. And with less overall stress in the form of less overall days you have to be there. And also, admittedly, this might just be my experience, but I've worked in, some very different settings. Usually everyone who works at schools are pretty empathetic. I have never had anybody bother me about needing to take a day off. I've even had supervisors encourage me to take mental health days. Don't get me wrong, it's still a workplace. There's still idiots and assholes. But since the product of the job is kids' education and not an actual product, people don't get stressed in the same way that a business that needs to be profitable usually finds a way to stress people out. But that actually leads me to number 2, the kids. If you legitimately just hate children, then yeah, this isn't gonna mean anything to you. Why did you click on this video? But if you're more in the camp of well, I don't know, I don't love kids, that's fine. I've taught kids in different areas and different settings a lot over my adult life, and believe me, I don't always just hanging out with them. But that's the thing, it's a job. You're not there to like them, to be their best friend. You're just there to help them get an education. And with that said, they are a lot more fun than you think they are. I work at an underfunded middle school in a poor area of Los Angeles. Most people I say that to, I can just see in their eyes are terrified of what my kids might be. And they are easily the best part of my day. It's the adults that bother me more than anything else, but that's another story. And I'm not gonna lie, yes, the kids drive me up a wall sometimes, and they make me mad, and they make me act really uncool, and I really don't like when that happens, and I don't like them when they make me make that happen. But overall, genuinely, I would say it's a small percentage of the days that I go to work. And there's just so many options. You could work with little kids. They have their pros and cons. You could work with high school kids. They have different pros and different cons. But more than anything, anything else, not to be too corny about it, but I think working with kids has kind of had like a smaller version of the effect that people say having kids has on them. I feel obligated to be the best version of myself for the kids, which in turn makes me a better version of myself for myself. Being the grown-up in a situation, it helps you to grow up a little bit, and that's not a bad thing. And before anyone else says it, yes, I admit it, it's true. Kids of all ages will do things that make you want to tear your hair out and wish that you were anywhere but the place you are right now. But you know who else does that? Asshole customers in retail stores. Kids will also say some of the funniest things you have ever heard in your life and put you in a good mood for the rest of the day. The Karens that come into your Forever 21 are never going to do that. And finally, number 3, the future. If you are a young person who one day wants to have a good job, I cannot tell you how much better this looks on your resume than working at Coffee Bean, unless you're like a manager or something. And I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, in college, they told me all the time, like, oh, well, actually, like, your retail job, like, you do have all these transferable skills. You just gotta find ways to write them on your resume. They lied. They lied through their teeth to you. They fucking lied to everybody. That is not true. And that's not to say that working in special ed has just had people knocking down my door to give me job offers to be like a digital content manager or whatever. But I will say, when I have said that I work in special ed in interviews, I get much different reactions than when I told them that I worked at Trader Joe's. And I don't say this to shame any individual retail job, because everybody knows this, but like getting a quote unquote good job is more about who you know than what you know anyway. But education just has this built-in respect around it in a way that really no other job has. It's a very interesting job where everyone agrees you should get paid more, but then you don't, and everyone's just like, all right. You also just have to do a lot more like office-y stuff in this job than you would in most retail jobs. You don't have to spruce up your resume and talk about how you somehow did agenda planning at your job at Walmart as a cashier. You just tell them how you helped implement a lesson plan. There genuinely are a lot of transferable skills working at a school that could apply to your future. And this is probably the big part. Notice how I'm saying future. I am talking about a future where you don't work in education, because you do not have to work in education for your whole life. There is this really weird air around teaching and schools that make people think it's like this special breed of person that has to do it. And I do think that's probably true for people who are actual classroom teachers or administrators. But for what I do, for example, I am a special education paraprofessional, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm kind of just there to help. In some situations, I'm the guy who's like walking between the desks, you know, kind of like knocking like, hey, stop doing that. And, you know, I'm like monitoring the whole classroom. And in some schools, I'd be assigned to watching a specific student, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and, you know, if he needs help, I'll get up and go help him with whatever he needs help with. Or like personally I'm doing right now, there's small group instruction. I work in a structured literacy program, which is basically just helping kids who are not reading at grade level try to read at grade level. All of those jobs I just said are really jobs that like a lot of people could do. Not anyone. I'm not just saying anyone off the street could do it. But if you're a person who has like a genuine desire to do some good in the world, and you're not a complete idiot, like you could do those jobs. It just takes a little patience, a little more patience, and a willingness to learn strategies that might be able to help each individual kid get the help that they need, which every coworker I have ever had is more than willing to help with, by the way. But the thing is, like, the type of person I'm talking about, like, we really need more people like that in schools, because a lot of these kids are just really getting left behind. And I think having intelligent, kind, driven people for kids to be around and look up to for 2 years is better than them not having those people at all. And until in this country we make teaching a good job, good people aren't gonna wanna do it for their career. But I think it's okay if you don't do it as your career. I think it's fine if you do it for a little bit and you don't wanna do it forever. I know I don't wanna do it forever. But if you're like me and you're in a stage of your life where you know you have to grind, I really would rather grind doing this. I would rather have a tough day at work because I'm just really frustrated trying to, you know, find the right way to get through to this kid to help him, you know, learn this math thing that he's working on. Then to have a tough day at work because some guy at my checkout line decided that he just wanted to be a complete asshole to me because he just wants to like be dominant because I'm the retail worker and he's the customer and I have to let him say whatever he wants to me. Can you tell this one's a real story? But if you've heard everything I've said and you still think that second scenario is what would work better for you, that's great. That is fine. Education is not for everybody. I'm just saying I think it can be for more people than most people think. A mentor of mine who has made education his entire career once told me, teaching is a job. It is not a calling. I agree with that. And if you have not found your calling yet, I think you might want to look into this as the job you do while you find it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Fellas, it was good to see you. And say something nice to the ladies on the way out.
Hi everybody, it's Ernie Sabella, the voice of Pumbaa from The Lion King. And I'm telling you to like this video and subscribe to Carney's YouTube channel. That's Carney's YouTube channel.